of Management Studies IGNOU presents an audiobook on the course Mmpc 011 titled Social Processes and Behavioral Issues for MBA Program. Presenting Block 4 titled Emerging Trends. Unit 14 Diversity Management.
Objectives. After going through this unit, you should be able to 1. Understand the concept of diversity management. 2. Explain the need and levels of diversity. 3. Identify the reason for diversity. And 4. Implement diversity management strategy. Introduction. We are not all the same. This obvious fact is sometimes forgotten by managers that these differences needs to be recognized and capitalized so that desired result can be obtained from employees. With effective diversity management, an organization can make the best out of possible pool of the employee's skill, abilities, and ideas. Apart from taking advantage of these differences, it is the duty of a manager to recognize and assess that diversity among workforce can sometimes end up with miscommunication, misunderstanding, and conflict. This unit will try to explain how individual differences like gender, race, age, ethnicity, and abilities can influence their individual performance and organization's performance as a whole. This unit will also try to answer a question that how managers can create awareness about characteristics of employees and management of diverse workforce. Meaning of diversity management. The Business Dictionary defines diversity as the practice of addressing and supporting multiple lifestyle and personal characteristics within a defined group. Management activities include educating the group and providing support for acceptance for various racial, cultural, societal, geographic, economic, and political backgrounds. Diversity is the vast concept that inculcates various other differences such as educational background, sexual orientation, religion, physical or medical disability, parental status, work experience, pregnancy, and age. Companies' policy must ensure and describe that there should not be any kind of discrimination or harassment on the basis of these differences in workforce. Diversity management is not only about observing legal and political requirements, but also promoting culture and comfort within organization with differences. Companies need to analyze and recognize that social diversity develops richness to community of company and enhances quality of life of all individual at workplace. Companies should consider and welcome these differences and celebrate achievements and differences. Diversity at workplace can ensure advantageous environment at work with the benefit of innovation, improved morale, teamwork, harmony amongst workers. Need for diversity in organization. In the recent times, the most prominent question in every organization is that why should the organization care about diversity? Several scholars and authors have defined diversity issue in various perspectives in the last few decades, and among them, J. Fink, D. Pastor, and H. Remy developed a mechanism or framework that differentiates between non-compliant organization at lower level and proactive at the highest level, going through compliant and reactive. The framework explains that diversity, liability at inception can be asset to an organization where diversity management goes from non-compliant to proactive. Diversity is threat to an organization which is non-compliant. On the other hand, proactive organization engages in including employees in various decision-making process. Proactive organization reaps the benefit out of diversity management and drains profit out of opportunity. Various facts suggest that diversity management is need of an hour because diversity is an issue all pervasive in an organization that can prove to be benefit or challenges to them and thus influences performance. The understanding of diversity in organization can help management leaders to incorporate their team members' diversity to manage retaining good employees and attracting good talent. Levels of diversity. The most prominent type of diversity visible at most of the organization is surface level diversity and deep level diversity. Let us discuss about each of them with the help of an example. Surface level diversity. The differences that are conspicuous or easily noticeable are called surface level diversity. These differences can be age, ethnicity, gender, race, culture, language, disability, etc. As this type of diversity is easily noticeable, so it can be measured easily, and thus recruiters or managers may discriminate on the basis of these differences. For example, assumption of a recruiter that performances decrease as age increases, he or she may prefer to hire a young professional. Surface level diversity is innate and thus difficult to alter or change. For example, racial differences or gender differences cannot be scaled down to zero. Deep level diversity. These differences are communicated through verbal and non-verbal behavior, and thus these differences are not easily noticeable and hence cannot be measured. Personal differences in attitudes, values, beliefs, and personality are deep level diversity differences. These differences become progressively more important to establish level of similarity as people get to know each other, and therefore deep level differences usually starts with identifying surface level differences. For example, a person belonging to a minority ethnic group may be treated differently by the others since his or her culture and language might be different. But as everyone interacts with him or her more, they seem to forget the surface level differences and then they begin to notice his or her differing values and beliefs and later on his or her personality differences. Discrimination. Diversity develops an opportunity for an organization, and thus diversity management also means efforts to eliminate unfair discrimination. To discriminate is to make a note of differences, which sometimes in itself isn't necessarily bad. Knowing a difference that one employee is more qualified than the other helps in making hiring decision. Knowing the leadership ability of an employee helps in making promotional decision. Usually, when we talk about discrimination, though, we mean allowing our behavior to be influenced by stereotypes about groups of people. Unfair discrimination assumes everyone in a group same rather than looking at individual characteristics. Discrimination can sometimes be hazardous to an organization and employees. Thousands of discrimination cases are filed every year and many more go unreported. As discrimination has increasingly come under both legal scrutiny and social disapproval, most overt forms have faded, which may have resulted in an increase in more covert forms like incivility or exclusion. Discrimination can take many shapes and its effect can be varied as organizational context and personal biases of its members. Exclusion or incivility is difficult to eliminate as they are impossible to observe and may arise because of ignorance of action of actors. Whether intentional or accidental, discrimination can be seriously negative for employers, causing reduced productivity and citizenship behavior, increased turnover, and negative conflicts. Unfair discrimination can eliminate qualified job candidate from initial hiring and promotions. Diversity is broad term and the phrase workplace diversity can refer to any characteristics that make people different from one another. Biographical characteristics. The most common ways in which employees differ the most are biographical characteristics such as gender, race, age, disability, and length of service. Variation in these innate characteristics may emerge as a basis of discrimination against classes of employee, so it is worth knowing how closely related they actually are to important work outcomes. Many are not as important as people believe, and far more variation occurs within groups sharing biographical characteristics than between them. Age. Employees have mixed feeling or perception for aged workers. It is sometimes observed that aged workers bring experience, judgment, strong ethics, and commitment to quality. But at the same time, they are not flexible, resistant to new technology, and does not love change in job design. The older you get, your performance deteriorates, but you are less likely to leave or change your job. The opposite is seen for younger employees who are better performer, love change and diversity, and do not feel hesitated to leave or change a job in search of better employment opportunities. As workforce gets older and aged, they become specialized in certain types of job and hence fewer job opportunities. Age is inversely related to absenteeism. As people grow old, their presence at workplace regularly starts diminishing. Older employees have lower rates of avoidable absence than do younger employees. One large-scale study of more than 8,000 employees in 128 companies found that an organizational climate favoring age discrimination was associated with lower level of commitment to the company. The lower of commitment was in turn related to lower level of organizational performance. Sex. Women performs as well as men do at work. This issue initiates more misconception, debates, and unreported opinions. There are no consistency male-female differences in problem-solving ability, analytical skills, competitive drive, motivation, sociability, or learning ability. There is minor difference that women are more agreeable and confirm authority. On the other hand, their male counterparts are aggressive and have expectations of success. Seeing the last 40 years trend, one can assume that there is no significant difference in job productivity of men and women. Evidence from a study of more than nearly 5 lakh professional employees indicates significant differences with women more likely to turn over than men. Women also have higher rates of absenteeism than men do. Disability. To develop employable skills to gain employment in condition of decent work, a person with disability in India faces many challenges. Despite the person with disabilities, the representation of people with disabilities in the workplace did not increase significantly from 42% in 1993 to 38% in 2002. Whilst India has ratified the United Nations Convention on the Rights of People with Disability, persons with disability continue to face many difficulties in the labour market. Under the Disability Act 2016, the number of disability covered has been increased from 7 to 21. Additional benefits such as reservation in higher education, government jobs, reservation in allocation of land, poverty alleviation schemes, etc. have been provided for persons with benchmark disabilities and those with high support needs. The impact of disabilities on employment outcomes has been explored from a variety of perspectives. On one hand, a review of the evidence suggests workers with disabilities receive higher performance evaluations. However, the same review found that despite their performance, individuals with disabilities tend to encounter lower performance expectations and less likely to be hired. Other biological characteristics. Tenure. Tenure expresses as work experience can contribute towards good employees' productivity. The most recent studies show positive relationship between seniority and job productivity. Various studies also express this view that seniority is negatively related to absenteeism. The longer the person in the job, the less likely the chances of leaving a job. When age and tenure are considered separately, tenure is more consistent and stable predictor of job satisfaction than age. Religion. More often, people of different religious faith conflict. The law established strict guidelines and rules to not discriminate on the ground of religion. Religious diversity has been characteristics of India for centuries. The official government holiday list has holidays on all major religious festivals. Faith can be an employment issue when religious beliefs prohibit or encourage certain behavior. Sexual orientation and gender identity. Employers differ widely in their treatment of sexual orientation. In June 2009, The High Court of Delhi, in a landmark judgment, decriminalized homosexual sex between consenting adults, overturning 149 years of old British colonial law, which described sex between members of same gender as unnatural offense. Many organizations have considered and adopted various organizational policies to protect employees and reduce discrimination on the ground of sexual orientation. To respect gender identity, companies are increasingly modifying and altering their policies to govern how their organization treats employees who change genders. In 2001, only 8 out of Fortune 500 had policies on gender identity. By 2006, that number crossed 124. IBM policy considers this fact and has such policies incorporated in their organizational policies and procedures. Ability. Ability refers to capacity of a person to perform various tasks in a job. The ability of a person is developed with the mixture of intellectual and physical factors. Let's discuss about these factors: intellectual versus physical abilities. Intellectual abilities are those abilities which requires a person to perform various mental activities like reasoning, problem solving, and thinking. Most organization gives high preference to these abilities. Smart people attain higher level of education and thus earn more money generally. Person who possess more intellectual abilities sometimes emerge as a leader. Intelligence test, SAT and ACT, and graduate admission tests in business schools, law, and medicine, etc. are conducted to assess intelligence level of a candidate for hiring in an organization or admission in an educational institute. Intelligence helps in performing well, but it doesn't make people happier or more satisfied with their jobs. There is about zero correlation between intelligence and job satisfaction. Research suggests that intelligent people are tending to have more interested jobs and thus they expect more. So it can be concluded that intelligent people are not loyal to an organization and always look for better employment opportunities. Though, with changing business dynamics and increasing competition, intellectual abilities are important for many jobs. Physical abilities have and will remain valuable. Research on hundreds of jobs have identified 9 basic physical abilities needed in the performance of physical tasks. These are discussed. Individuals may differ on the basis of possessing each of the abilities. The high score on one physical ability does not assure high score on other physical ability. High performance level can be achieved when managers determine what all level of each of these abilities is required for a job. 9 basic physical abilities. 1. Dynamic strength. 2. Trunk strength. 3. Static strength. 4. Explosive strength. 5. Extent flexibility. 6. Dynamic flexibility. 7. Body coordination. 8. Balance. 9. Stamina. What is diversity at the workplace? People at the workplace are different with their perceptions, aspirations, and drives, and thus their responses to the stimuli of their seniors are different when it comes to directing their performance. Differences amongst them are in terms of age, gender, culture, academic background, experiences, lifestyle, nationality, social and political affiliation, talent, and skills. Diana Warman categorized the diversity elements into 3 parts: social diversity, ethics, gender, and age; value diversity, psychological differences in personality and attitude; information diversity, education, functional tenure in the organization. These differences are so diverse and difficult to assess and analyze, it is almost impossible to manage employees in a standard manner. Therefore, people with diverse characteristics should not be molded in the organization's culture, but should rather be managed wisely so that their diversity can be exploited for the betterment to them and organization as a whole. The reason behind rise of diversity. Every organization these days encounters diversity in workforce, whether incorporated voluntarily or because of legal imposition. But why there is rise of diversity in an organization? Its reason can be various and their impact can be studied in various dimensions. Few of them, like globalization, migration, political diversity, aging population, etc., are explained. Globalization. It has removed many business barriers and allowed free flow of goods and services, person, thoughts and ideas, and capital. Now, there is ample opportunity for organizations to expand their business worldwide. This broad market has generated so many competitors with new type of customers and human resources. Thus, globalization brings diversity in business with varied knowledge and skills, age, culture, abilities, and sexual orientation. Migration. Developed regions like North America and Western Europe experiencing low birth rate, declining ratios of workers to retirees. To maintain current level of economic activities, they need to import immigrants to work. The complete opposite conditions are in developing countries like India and South Asian region. Increasing rate of young people willing to work because of high birth rate and improved medical condition cause difficult condition in an economy to absorb each individual in economic activities. So they need to immigrate to find job for themselves and support their families. Women workers. The task of family members, their task and consumption pattern has been changed since last few decades with increasing number of working women. Professions that used to be dominated by male now have been acquired and excelled by women. New rules and procedure modification has been introduced in companies' policies after intrusion of government. Aging population. Improved healthcare facilities causing the increase in numbers of senior staying alive and active at work. Thus, the median working age of workforce is increasing. This explains why the work environment is being adapted to the old-aged workers and why many processes and procedures have been modified and altered for workers in senior profile. Political diversity. Employees at organization enter with different political ideas and eventually affiliations. This emerges as point and source of conflict among them, especially when they are compelled to make decisions regarding crucial national actions such as strikes, public demonstrations, and petitions. Diversity is a threat or an opportunity. Diversity is an all-pervasive reality that every organization, irrespective of its size or nature, must consider and cater to. Diversity with organization must be welcomed, acknowledged, appreciated, and dealt with creativity, warmness, and cross-cultural recognition. This is because no organization has homogeneous source of human capital, customers, and suppliers. Diversity affects organizational performance, and thus it is not just a moral, social, or conscious issue. Rather, it becomes imperative for an organization to consider the same with the organization and modify or alter the organizational policies and principles as well as cultural accordingly. Misunderstanding, not considering diversity may lead to destroyed relationship, lost customer, failure of policies and decline in profitability. Diversity management means consideration, acknowledgement, and appreciation of differences as a valuable. These practices enhance the organizational performance by eliminating and preventing discrimination and promoting inclusiveness. Non-diversity at workplace may mean to exclusion of portion of the population with risk of social gaps, fundamentalism, leading to civil disturbances such as riots in French suburban areas. This may also lead to political confrontation like immigration law in Europe and USA. Looking at the recent trends in business world, successful businesses are anticipating and capitalizing on gradually rising proportion of minorities, female, immigrants, and older workforce. Most of the diverse and innovative firms have now started capitalizing on the disabled talent. The point to be noted here is that when a question of diversity arises, people think of ethnicity and race first and then gender. But diversity is a broader term that needs to be studied in various dimensions. Diversity can also be defined as otherness or difference in human qualities that are different from what we or majority possess, yet present in other individuals or group. Implementing diversity management strategies. Various differences among workforce has already been discussed. Now let's look at how manager can and should manage those differences. Diversity management makes it possible to cater to diverse needs and differences of people at work. This definition of diversity management highlights the facts that diversity management programs include and are meant for everyone. Diversity management practices will be successful if it works for everyone's business. Among various methods that an organization must include and focus to manage diversity at work are 1. Attracting diverse employees. One best method to enhance workforce diversity is to target recruiting message to specific people from specific demographic group. That is, placing recruitment advertisement for specific demographic groups such as recruitment at university, college, with significant numbers of underrepresented minorities and developing connection or partnership with associations like the Indian Women Scientists Association or Tribe Welfare Association of India. Advertisement that depicts group of diverse employees are seen as more attracted to women and ratio-ethnic minorities. That is why most of the organizations include workforce diversity in their recruitment advertisements. Recruitment advertisement that does not depict diversity send a negative message about the diversity climate at an organization. 2. Selection. Selection is also an important area where diversity efforts can be applied. The manager who hire must welcome and value fairness and objectivity in selection process and also focus on productivity capacity of new recruitment. Where managers use a well-defined protocol for assessing applicants' talent and the organization clearly prioritizes non-discrimination policies, qualification becomes far more important in determining who gets hired than demographic characteristics. 3. Career development. Similarity in personality may affect career advancement. If personality traits of a person matches with his or her other co-workers who are preferred for promotion over those whose personality traits does not matches with other co-workers. Where collectivistic culture is there in organization, similarity to supervisor is more important for career development and predicting advancement, whereas in individualistic cultures, similarity to peers is more important. Deep level diversity factors are more important in shaping people's reactions to one another's surface level characteristics. Study on 6,000 workers in a major retail organization provide evidence that stores with less supportive diversity climate, white employees made significantly more sales than African Americans or Hispanics. But when diversity climate was positive in such stores, African American made more sales than whites. Whites and Hispanics sold about the same amount. 4. Retaining employees. Data shows that individuals who are more demographically different from their co-workers are more likely to feel low commitment and turnover. Women are more predominantly turned over from male workers and men are more predominantly turned over from female workers. Non-whites predominantly leave or replace job from where there are whites and vice versa. This type of behavior is more prominent among new hires. As people get accustomed to each other at work, demographic at work are less consistently related to turnover. Indian study shows negative perceptions about their organization among employees from minority groups. The study revealed that women employees and those belonging to reserved categories perceived the organization they worked in to be less fair and less inclusive as compared to those who were from majority groups. Summary. This unit summarizes diversity from many perspectives. The three basic variables of diversity are biographical characteristics, ability and disability. Let's recapitulate what we have learned and summarize its importance for managers trying to manage organizational diversity. 1. Biographical characteristics are conspicuous and can be readily available, but that does not mean that managerial decision must be derived out of it. Many research and studies demonstrated that biographical characteristics do not necessarily influence job performances. We also need to be aware of implicit biases we or other managers may have. 2. Wise and effective selection procedure may ensure the fit between employees and job requirements. A thorough and deep job analysis will provide information about job currently being done and abilities that an individual must possess to perform the job effectively. Job application can be tested, evaluated, interviewed, and analyzed on the basis of skills and abilities required for the job and what all skills and abilities individual possess. A best match may prove best candidate to be hired. 3. Promotion and transfer decision of an organization must be taken keeping in mind the diversity of an organization, culture, sustaining in business, and organizational policies and procedures. Care should be taken for newly hired employees to assess their abilities, developing desired behavior required by an organization. 4. To accommodate employee with disabilities, managers should develop and alter mechanisms by fine-tuning the job so that it can match better with abilities of disabled individual. Change in equipments, infrastructure, reorganizing tasks within a group can help in accommodating diversity and differences of employees with disability. 5. Diversity management must be continuous and crosses all levels of the organization. Recruitment, hiring, retention, group management, and development practices can all be designed so that diversity can be flourished and generate advantage to an organization. 6. Policies to improve the climate of diversity can be effective, so long as they are designed to include and accommodate all differences of employees. Comprehensive programs that address the diversity climate at multiple levels are more effective than one short diversity training session.
We were listening to the audiobook by the School of Management Studies IGNOU for MBA program. Course code Mmpc 011, titled Social Processes and Behavioral Issues. Course Coordinator Professor Srilata. Voiceover by Renuka. Edited by Ashok Sharma. Program assisted by Tarannum Jahan. Program produced by Dr. Manoj Kumar Singh. This program was brought to you by Electronic Media Production Center of Indira Gandhi National Open University.